Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, my dear friends, brothers, sisters, and viewers of Zikra TV. We've been having a really interesting debate about Gaza and Palestine and what has been happening over there over the last 12 months and what has been happening recently when a lot of the news channels have sort of seemed to have gone off the agenda on what is happening in Gaza in particular. And now the conflict has sort of widened to both Lebanon and to Iran to a certain extent. And in the same time, we've seen and heard some of the more atrocious events that are taking place, particularly in Gaza, where the population is being shifted from one place to another, constantly on the move, in a very, very difficult, challenging situation. People are dying on the streets because they don't have medication, they don't have food, they don't have shelter. And it seems like now that it's gone off the news channels, the atrocities, as some people have called them, are getting even worse. So we've been discussing what we can do. Now, obviously, we don't have the power in our hands to be able to do much, but we can influence or try and influence the politics of this country and the economy of this country as a Muslim community or any community that believes in humanity and peace. So we have guest with me, Maqsood Ahmed. We've been talking about that live. And my dear friend, our mutual dear friend, Amjad Bashir, a former member of parliament, European member of parliament, has also joined us and is still with us online. Now, Amjad and Maqsood, we've been, before we went on to the break, we talked about how do we keep making sure that the momentum that was shown in the last election, which to a certain extent was good, right? We saw some communities coming really together and using that political power that they have to effect. But in other communities, we saw fractions within the Muslim community. And as you said, we were still subject to this divided rule, and the existing structures are using members of our own community to break that that bond that people had. And you feel that that is going to change as the young people grow up over the next 10, 15 years?
I think it's already changing. If you look at the social media like I do on a regular basis or on a daily basis, it is the young people and the non-Muslims and the Jewish voice and the Jewish lobbying groups are still keeping Palestine, Lebanon alive in a sense on it. So that's an evidence. I'm not surprised that our mainstream media has basically silenced it down because that's what they want to do while this genocide is taking place. But if you compare the mainstream media and the social media, there's a massive difference of what's happening. The information on social media is still there. If you follow it on Gaza, Lebanon, Iran and everything else, and there are some strong people there, millions of them basically who are doing their bit to keep highlighting the genocide that's taking place, and we should continue to do that because on the other side there is a danger that democracy is using these strategies to silence people, and that's the worrying thing for us as people living in a so-called democracy, freedom of expression. We are now actually being pushed into a corner and being labelled.
Are we living in a country where the true definition of freedom of expression holds value?
No, we're not. Palestinians have shown us there is no way that we are living in a society that you can say. There are certain people who can say what they want to say. The right wing can say that. Are you with me? The right wing politicians who have been Islamophobic comments that are coming through without any sort of repercussions taking place against them, without any sort of punishment. They don't lose their jobs. They get promoted. They don't actually, get resigned. Whereas if you say anything else, if you're black and a brown or a Palestinian or you're supporting the Palestinians, I mean, I know hundreds of people who have lost their jobs because they've been supporting Palestine. They have to resign because of supporting Palestine.
We are in a duplicitous society.
We are in a society where it's very, very dangerous. So this so-called freedom of expression. I mean, you've seen the case where, this young woman who had a cartoon of coconuts with our politicians on, and the police took her to court. And I mean, she won the case, but look at the stress that she went through.
That was a local one as well. Amjad, I mean, obviously, as a former politician at a very senior level, at a European level, how do you see democracy developing and the Muslim community's role in this developing democracy over the next 10, 15 years?
I think you raise a very, very important question, Iqbal Sahib. Let me tell you that a few months prior to the 7th of October last year, we at the British Friends of Pakistan convened a conference in Agra Midpoint, and we asked both members of Parliament from the Conservative Party and the Labour Party to attend. We got Stuart Andrew, who was a minister at that time, and he was representing the Conservative Party.
Know him. Yeah, know him.
And then we had Naz Shah from the Labour Party.
Right.
And 350 constituents turned up.
Wow.
300. There was a packed room.
That's quite an audience.
Yeah, exactly. And contrary to our belief that we won't get people there unless we have dinner, all we had was tea, coffee, and biscuits.
Right.
and the room was packed. Now, a lot of pertinent questions were asked of these MPs. Islamophobia was mentioned. The fact that our communities were being stigmatized, they were prevented from getting jobs. There was also the incarceration of Imran Khan was mentioned, because a lot of people have sympathy with democracy and rule of law, and Imran Khan is incarcerated in Pakistan for no other reason than tackling corruption. So these questions were asked, and it was really, really invigorating to see the MPs, because they wanted interaction with the community. These sort of events will actually bring more and more progress.
Can I just stop you there for a second? What was the name of the organization that you said organized this event?
The British Friends of Pakistan.
Okay, now can I just say honestly here, because I'm not Pakistani, I'm not even Indian, to be honest with you, because I was born in Africa. Now for me, if somebody says to me, British Friends of Pakistan invite you to an event, I'd not even think about it, because it's got nothing to do, no association.
Don't you want to be a friend of Pakistan?
No, I'm a friend of Pakistan. Most of my friends are most of my friends are Pakistan. Yeah, most of my friends are Pakistani. The majority of my friends are Pakistani. But I have no real interest apart from seeing Pakistan succeed as a country.
That's right. So why don't you become a member of the British Friends of Pakistan?
I would love to be a member of British Friends of Pakistan, but that does not sort of give me any real sort of touchy-feely effect for it. Although I support Pakistan and I would like to see Pakistan succeed, I want to see what are we doing for the Muslim community engaging in politics here.
Iqbal, if you were to set up British Friends of India, I'd become a member.
I would never set up a British Friends of India. Definitely not.
There you are.
I would never set up a British Friends of India. I might set up a British Friends of Malawi, which is where I was born, one of the poorest countries in the world. No, but that's not the point. The point is, young people in this country, Pakistani young people, and I give respect to them, that they still have so much passion about Pakistan. A lot of young people from India, and I don't know about Bangladeshis, don't have the same level of patriotism or that passion about India. Particularly now what's happening in India to the Muslim community. They're actually distancing themselves completely. I've been saying this to my Pakistani friends from the 70s when I was working in a factory with them, that you don't realize the atrocities that are being committed against Muslims in India. My Pakistani friends used to look at me and think I'm a Hindu, and they'd even give me the respect that I'm a Muslim. Right? That was the attitude I grew up in. But what I'm talking about now, we have a new generation. We have a generation, fourth, fifth generation of British Muslims who've grown up in this country. Now, what do we need to do to try and go get that people, regardless of whether they're from India, Pakistan, or Malawi, like me?
Iqbal, I have an answer to that. It doesn't matter what hat you wear. It doesn't matter if you're British Friends of Pakistan or you're the Council of Mosques. These are different groups. They all have a part to play where they can They can make the community more involved with politics, affect the decisions that are being made on their behalf, get involved in politics, and make politicians listen to them. Whether you wear the hat of Friends of Malawi, Friends of Bangladesh, Friends of Pakistan, or the Council of Mosque in Rochdale, it doesn't matter what the title is. It's a way of making people sit up and be counted. That's what I'm trying to say.
And that's what I'm trying to say as well. How do you, rather than make it Friends of Pakistan, how do you make it Friends of Politics? so you can influence the politics of this country, right? How do we bring young people into an umbrella organization where they become more engaged with the politics of the United Kingdom and can influence it as we move forward the next 10, 15 years. Now, people like, Maqsood is doing quite a lot of work with young people, giving them that leadership and management training programs and experiences, and he's doing that across politics as well as the media, and I give huge respect to him for that. But, are we doing this across the board, or are we just doing that in our own little silos? And are we going to continue to work in our own little silos? As he said, if you look at the Jewish community, there's a lot of fractions in the Jewish community. They're not as united as we may think, because I've worked with the Jewish community over the last 20 years, and there are just got as many fractions, and Maqsood knows this very well. But when it comes to the public, they're united like a fist. Now, when can we hope to do that, Amjad?
I think that we would really need to be involved in many activities, whether we're involved as trustees on a cricket board, whether we're involved in a business organization, whether we're involved in a charity, whether we're not involved in a cultural exchange. The more that we're involved, that we're able to influence people, that make decisions on our behalf, that without realizing what our true views are. When I say we, I mean Muslim community, I mean the Malawi people, I mean the people who have migrated here from abroad. This is a wonderful country which has done us a lot of good.
Oh, I agree. Everybody agrees, yeah. Yeah, everybody agrees.
But what we want to do, and therefore we want this community, this country to succeed. Now, British Friends of Pakistan was set up not only to make Pakistan great, but also to make this country great, and really to enhance relations between the two countries, right? So this is the outcome that we want: a greater, more successful Britain, a greater and more successful Pakistan, and really the Muslim community.
And I say I'm into that, because if Pakistan becomes a better country economically and politically, it could make a huge difference to the wider world. There's no doubt about it. But until that happens, what I'm talking about is how can we engage our young people, regardless whether they're Pakistani or non-Pakistani, whether they're Indian, Pakistani, or wherever they're from, but as a Muslim community, without that label of who your nationality or your background is, your ethnicity is, to try and get them to be engaged on the wider political subject. Now, I know the two of you are experts. Now, as I say, Maqsood is already doing quite a lot of work in his area. Now the Council of Mosques, as you say, have been done. Some Council of Mosques are absolutely amazing. The Bradford Council of Mosques has got a fantastic reputation, and I'm one of the biggest, sort of admirers of the work that they do. But how can we get the other Council of Mosques not just to work well in their own communities, but also work across the country? Because that's one of the challenges that Maqsood and I have spoken about over many, many years. Now, maybe people like yourself, with the knowledge and the experience that you have, you might be able to help people to achieve that. So I was talking to you then.
Yes, I think really Maqsood can teach us, not the other way around. Maqsood has done excellent work. He's been helping with the Rochdale Council of Mosques. Therefore, because he's been that good, they're able now to have regular dialogue with the Greater Manchester Mayor, Andy Burnham, because of the success of their workings. The Chief Executive of Rochdale Council is listening to them. They lay out what it is that's holding back success of Rochdale and the immigrant community. Well, they're no longer immigrants, they're actually Rochdalians, but they've come from abroad. So they're doing an excellent job. I think the Council of Mosques for Oldham, for Rochdale, for Bradford, from Leeds, they all have a very, very significant part to play. I think groups like the British Friends of Pakistan have a very important part to play. And they all represent the Muslim communities. And really, this will make sure that our votes are not taken for granted, that our viewpoints are considered. Now, for example, the Jewish community, which you mentioned once or twice, they have all sorts of bodies. They have lawyers representing Jews, lawyers representing the state of Israel.
Amjad, I'm going to have to ask you to come back one day. We're going to have a really interesting discussion, because coming to the end of the program, I mean, it's been really fascinating listening to your thoughts and your ideas, and I agree with 99.99% with all of them, in fact.
Thank you.
Right? And I think, you make some really important points. I mean, I've got Maqsood here all the way from Rochdale, so I just want to make sure that he gets his chance to say a few things before we finish. The Hope Academy obviously is doing amazing work. Now, the young people you've got there, you're saying you've got 8 or 9 people who are doing this. I mean, they're going because I know you were doing this beforehand as well. How good has that been so far?
Yeah, I think it's a slow process in a sense on it. And the reason why it's a slow process is because it's the funding that required to keep these things going in a sense on it. And that's where I think we need to reinvest in our young people and their education.
When you say we, you mean of the Muslim community
the
itself?
Business people.
Muslim
I'm talking about the
businesses.
millionaires, the Muslim millionaires and the billionaires that we have, over, so many. They need to invest in our young people, because let's face it, the local authorities and the others are not going to invest in something to say, look, we're going to make you the best leaders in policy and politics. They won't fund us for that. Are you with me? They won't fund any charity on policy and politics, but they'll fund people on other things. So we would have to have business people have to say, right, are we going to create the next buildings or are we going to create the next people? Are you with me?
And that's a very important point.
And that's what we're going to do, in my opinion.
I think Maqsood raises a very important, and I'm sure Amjad will agree with this as well. I mean, we have invested millions and millions of pounds on building mosques and madrasas, etc., which is absolutely required. There's no doubt about it. We need it. But now we need to look at some of the other strategic issues. I hope you found the program interesting so far. It's something that I found fascinating. I just want to say thank you very much to both Amjad Bashir, a dear friend of both of us, somebody I have a lot of respect for, as he will know as well, and also Maqsood, and thank you for coming over all the way from Rochdale, across the Pennines, to be here tonight and sharing your thoughts and your ideas with me.